Testing mic. Testing mic. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Hard Rock Stadium, where Q1 begins, and it's raining here at the home of the Miami Dolphins. But there's no football tonight. It's only the Formula One cars driving around the track at ridiculous speeds, attempting to make it to pole, and later on attempt to win in round 2. We are joined by 18 drivers today, a couple missing. I believe that our Patrick Sunsky, is he there? I can't see him. I don't think Repo Skits is here either. So that does leave a very open grid for today to be formed. As you can see, it's raining. Looks like intermediate conditions. So no car has been first to come out yet. No one taking their luck in the lottery yet. But I'm sure that's soon to change. I'm seeing a bit of movement. I can't quite see where. But oh, I've just got the news that XPG Dylan is actually Skits, so sorry about that confusion. But did think I could see some movement, but a lot of cars just trying to stay in the pit lane. Interesting, the pit lane is just below the Arnold Stadium. As we see the first car exit the pit lane, and that's Twitch Konyo leaving the pits on those inters, as we mentioned. He's normally first out of the pits, and he's first out of the pits again. Is the Alfa Romeo driver, the only car out on track at the moment. Let's get set for go then. So Twitch Konyo then is going around that greasy, slippery track at the moment. 17 minutes to go. CFO Bjorn exiting the pit. Daisy, I believe. Lewis also exiting the pit lane. Twitch Konyo is quite in midfield at the moment so far this season. Without any Alexander fancy Lewis chances for the pole. Of course, Repo Skits in that Alpine, but at the moment we're focusing on Twitch Konyo as he approaches sector 3 as he goes through the uphill chicane and takes a right. Doesn't really I don't think he was hoping to do that on his spot lap, but try the mic again. So then here we go, Twitch Conyo into turn 1 then in the Alfa Romeo as he approaches turn 2 now, and he's got a little bit snappy out of there for turn 3. This is Alfa Romeo driver out of a very slippery track at this moment. The intermediates on for all the cars that are exiting the pit lane. We've now got, I think, half the grid, at least over half the grid now, out of the pit lane and starting their hot lap. Chevy M is currently in Q2 on an out lap. There's a lot of new faces here today. Conyo is got a purple first sector. Of course, he's the first man to complete first sector, and he's probably hoping he doesn't catch that Williams towards the end of the lap. We have yellows in sector 3. The Haas was going slowly, but I believe he's got going now. And Alpine's gone slowly down there. That may be doing his hit. Meanwhile, Twitch Conyo into the uphill chicane, takes the left. He goes there. It was a bit shaky through there as it was on his outlap. Twitch Conyo bangs the wall as he doesn't activate any DRS due to the brake. But that was really horrible through that little section of the track. Chicane and turn sort of absorbed because he's not overly familiar with this track. I'll have to do some research before the race starts. Into the final corner comes Twitch Conyo. He shakes the wall again. It's not really looking good for Conyo on this lap. It's very uncomfortable and very slippery indeed. Twitch Conyo then hits the line. What kind of lap time are we looking at to set the benchmark to 135? That is not what I'm sure this man will be looking to emulate. Zakapula said he's about to go into the chicane. Aston Martin is going to become the next car to set a lap, and he's going to be hoping to beat Twitch Conyo. Lewis goes to the top of the timing sheets for 1 minute 34.3 here in Q1, and Jurgen, the reserve driver, goes even quicker than that with a 133.7, and that is the benchmark that Zakapula is looking to beat then. Down the back straight we go. It's the longest back straight in Formula 1. Maybe it is. I mean, it competes with Shanghai, of course, which has been removed from the calendar for next year, which means probably, well, we might be seeing it in the game. It is in this year's game, remember. And Zakapoulis is round and he's hit the wall. Zakapoulis was about to end his lap, and I'm not too sure how competitive it would have been, but he's going to be going in the pit lane. Lucky he was there, and he can just drive straight into the pit lane, but Zakapoulis into the wall. Sexy, meanwhile, has gone about 200ths quicker than Jurgen's time and has gone to the top of the timing sheet. Let's look further down the grid. TT rated then is in the pit lane. Aruludo is about to end his lap. He's invalidated, unfortunately for him. Jamie, a newbie in the league. Let's see what he can do. Coming out of the final corner. It's a very small corner. The number 7 riding on that car. Has he got the corners of Kimi Räikkönen? Yes, he has. At P1 for Jamie, it's 1:33.1. That's really amazing from the rookie who sets the timing sheets alive and goes to P1 with a 1:33.1. He may not be a rookie, but this is the first time he's raced in Tier 1 this season. His teammates, which I'm not really sure of his skills. I've heard his skills, but he's really struggling. I'm not too sure what's happened to him. Maybe he's had a bit of a blunder. We'll have to have a look at his second time, but looks to be on an in-lap, and look at that. Even though his in-lap is getting a bit shaky, is the Alpine, and he's certainly going to want to improve that going into his next lap. Bouncing off the walls. That's not really ideal for the Alpine. We saw this last week actually with Aaron Sunski, who is in this race. So I didn't really notice he was there, but he is there, guys. As last week he was P1 in Ferrari, and his teammate, I think this was realistic actually, his teammate Max Day was all the way down to 18th. It looks like a similar scenario for the Alpine drivers at the moment, but XPG Dylan then, or known as Nico Skip, coming into pit lane as he validates, but let's have a look at Thomas then. He's on a hot lap. He's going to approach, no, I think he's gone past Dylan into the final corner we go. Currently around looking at maybe 1:34. I believe that's the kind of lap he's setting. Maybe a little slower, which is just going to push the car over the line at the moment. Thomas into the start-finish line on P5 with 1:34.1, and that's up the front end of the grid, and we've seen, I think Dugarakis is to softs, and so has Trichconio, so the track may be drying up, and that's maybe why Trichconio was as slow as he was, because of track illusion, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, and he did back about 10 times. So, Jamie then, I believe he's on the in-lap, no, he looks like he's pushing, but can't be certain of that, he looks to be pushing, so let's approach this, he's got a bit slower into there, maybe we are just looking at it in that here. Why he would have to go for that. But in the meantime, let's go on board with the man Lewis on the soft tyres. Is this a gamble, a smart move, or is this stupidity? We will soon see what the outcome of this decision to go onto the soft tyres as early as this. I believe the rain is still going, so but the track definitely drying up. The rain definitely slowing, if not stopped. So maybe it's a crossover period, and look at that, he's getting a bit slidey. That's brilliant car control to keep that out of the wall there, but surely he's realised it's just too wet, and if I was him I'd slow down a little bit, you know, get a bit more, but I don't see the point in going out on the softs at this juncture, as he could have just waited a little bit longer. The track would be completely dry, but he's going for it straight away on the soft tyres, and Lewis also probably freezing soft tyres up, definitely freezing in the UK. Those tyres are probably freezing out there at the moment. Here Lewis comes into the final corner. Jamie, he was on a hot lap, he's gone even quicker, and that is super impressive from the Alpine driver. And this is not a Q1 session, by the way, I've only just noticed that. We are, I believe, on short qualifying today, so that's provisional pole once again, and that is astonishing. 9/10 of a second on old tyres, wow. IRL Jamie extends his lead at the top, and provisional pole retained by a significant margin for the Alpine driver. And I didn't actually notice this previously, but as mentioned, this is just a single qualifying session. I've not previously noticed that, but it is true. Lewis then on his hot lap on the soft tyre. The rain, I think, is still going. I think I can see, still see it coming down on the halo. 2 thousandths of a second quicker than his previous spec. That proves that it is a crossover period. But how much can he gain in sector 2? Will he get a bit of the slipstream off that Red Bull? He doesn't seem to be close enough. Into the next set of corners we go then. The fans looking down on the track, looking down at this man to see whether those soft tyres are up to scratch in comparison to the intermediate tyres, which have proven to be Jamie's favoured, and he's gone off the track a bit, but he's kept it validated. He's got a really wide line into there, but he's kept the chicane going as he comes out of the very slow corner onto the long back straight. He was a bit slower in sector 2, so as it stands, I believe he wouldn't improve, and I think he's backed off now. DRS soon to be enabled, you would think, as we take a quick break. When we're back, we'll see crossover period full swing. Well, we're back, and rated on intermediates sets provisional pole, which proves that the track is still wet enough for the intermediates to be competitive, but clearly trying. And now I know the reason why this is a short qualifying session is due to the sprint race to follow. So we have, of course, this qualifying session 7 minutes, and then we have a sprint race weekend. So a lot of action to come. Jamie's onto the soft in the pit lane, but rain improving track evolution is key as Arapatitsonsky. We haven't seen a lot of this man today. He's normally on the headlines for the race and qualifying, but today he's been a bit further down the pack. Maybe only that one lap he's had did prove to be a mistake or an error. But meanwhile then, here he is, P12 at the moment with 135 on the dot, and he's definitely going to want to improve that in this qualifying session. He doesn't want to be starting the sprint too far back, you would imagine. Past the fake, sorry, what is it again? A fake lagoon or whatever they've tried to do down there. That's a lot quicker. 2.5 seconds. Lewis is on to provisional pole. Those softs finally working for the Aston Martin driver. Let's look on board with Sunski. He's getting the slipstream benefit of that Alpine ahead. He now moves to the side of the track. Here we go then. So Arafat Sunski soon to enter the final sector. Down through those really twisty sections of the track. That's really good cornering speed from Arafat Sunski. Through the chicane. That's really smart on the steering and brakes. Now here we go onto the long back straight. About a kilometre down here. 4 seconds quicker. That is absolutely brilliant. That will put him near the 2 Aston Martin pace. The Aston Martins at the moment, by the way, are in absolute dreamland at the moment with 1-2 with 5 minutes to go. Jamie, your former pole sitter, provisional pole sitter, sorry, is out on an out lap. Arafat Sunski, meanwhile, was really quick in sector 2. What can he do in sector 3? And to complete the lap, Arafat Sunski hits the line and is P1 with a 1:29.3. The soft ramping up. Tomo goes quicker than that with a 1:28.9. And track really is ramping up now as Tomo goes to the top of the timing sheet. But you've got to look down the pack even more and believe. Oh, Lewis is in the wall. Lewis has hit the wall and lost his front wing. Down at turn potentially 10 or 15 between that area. But onto the back straight, he's hit the wall. And as a result, no front wing left on that Aston Martin. And I'm not too sure what's happened, but he's had an incident which has cost him dearly. Jamie now, 2 tenths quicker in sector 1. He's down to P7, your former provisional pole sitter. Ruelli's gone up to P4, team player. Jamie though, he's got brilliant cornering skill, brilliant aerodynamic skill. On the brakes, he's had a little bit of a bump to the wall. 2 seconds quicker in 1, and that's a purple sector 1 for the Alpine driver. Raiden has left the session. Is that potentially a lag out? He's left the session, he's not retired. So potentially an internet spike or lag has kicked him out of this session. Jamie in sector 2, 49 seconds have gone on his lap so far. Maybe you know, an extra 30 to 40 seconds to be added onto that. Can he stick it back onto provisional pole with 4 minutes to go in Miami? Into the back straight we go. DRS is still not enabled. That is going to be crucial. That is why maybe it would have been smarter to stay in the pit. DRS still disabled means that you don't have that boost on the straight where you have that free air that can of course gain you so many tenths of a lap. That's a bit of a lock into the final corner for Jamie, sorry, the penultimate corner. Dugarakis to the top of the time sheet to 1:28.6. But you think this man has enough to go back onto provisional pole? You bet he does. 1 minute 27.7 for Jamie, and he's back onto provisional pole. The former pole sitter, when the conditions of the track were extremely wet, he's back onto provisional pole is Jamie. And the man who was so quick in wet conditions has proved his worth in the dry, and by almost a second, Jamie back onto provisional pole. Ponyo's gone third. This will be a second row start. But look at this, a real mix of constructors. XPG Dylan, or should we say Skits, is invalidated as Yerman. He's showed really good pace so far for the Alfa Romeo team. He's into P2. But DRS still disabled. And Share BM into the final corner. He was invalidated. And so a lot of drivers really starting to invalidate as we enter. A few viewers coming in now. 2 minutes remain of this qualifying session in Miami with the sprint weekend. The Hard Rock Stadium gleams down the pit lane as Zakopoulos into the pit lane. Jamie will soon be coming into the pit lane, or will he be going again? DRS, this is really crucial when DRS gets to say enabled. Surely it's time for it to be enabled. The track is as dry as anything at the moment. So it would be logical for DRS, but with DRS not enabled, you'd expect this man to come into the pit lane, which he has done. Still, you have to think of it now. It's going to be now or never for the DRS to be enabled. Sexy is into P2. Let's have a look at someone who's on a hot lap. Lewis wasn't quick on that certain occasion. Sorry about that, the mic was disconnected for a slight moment. 1 minute 1:25 remaining. When we lagged out a little bit there, Lewis was starting his lap. He's now approaching the final section of Sector 2. Has he got enough to put it anywhere near the remarkable pole position at the moment of Jamie with a 1:27.7? It's a very complicated sentence to say. He's coming out of a pit lane, I think, or is that his teammate Dylan? One of them come out, and it's Dylan. So whether Jamie is to come back out, it's too late for him surely now. 55 seconds remaining. DRS. Oh, DRS is enabled. Well, I must have missed that. But Lewis, with DRS enabled, has a mega chance of putting it onto provisional pole. Jurgen on the second row of the grid has retired. He doesn't think he can do any more. Jamie is going to be Sebastian Vettel if he can hold pole, because he has retired in the pit lane, which means he's not coming out. That should be Sebastian. Next moment, Lewis stays P12. Got a bit nervy there when he went up on the curb. That's P4 at the moment for Lewis. My time glitched there a minute and said he stayed in P11. Ludo, what kind of pace has he got? Has he got enough to get near the pole position? Jack McKee, has he got anything? He's a bit slower than before. Thomas, to the line then. Is it an outlap? Thomas, yeah, he stayed P8. Ludo, now, coming through sector 1, McLaren has got the slipstream of the Ferrari. 6/10 quicker. That is, if he keeps that up throughout the entire lap, he could be challenging for a pole. Could Ludo. Dylan has the first car to complete his lap. That's it for him in qualifying. P9 for the Alpine driver, and that's really disappointing for the man who I'm being told is to get, but not really proving it at the moment. Ludo, sector 2, well that's a Mercedes round, but we're not going to focus on that. I believe that's Jack McKee, but we're not going to focus on that at the moment. Into the wall goes Perra. Perra is out of the session, and he hasn't set a lap yet, and he went into the wall. But let's focus on this man. 8/10 up, 6/10 up. He has enough pace to challenge for pole position. Ludo, mate, just hold it in sector 3, and surely you can see your first pole position in tier 1 coming your way. Into the final corner comes the Spanish driver. He surely has enough for pole. Jesus is looking down on him and finding that extra lap. The racing gods, can he then gift him a pole? He goes P4, and Ludo cannot find enough for pole. It was so close, and he couldn't find that extra tenth or so needed that would have put him pole. Rated go P5. Thomas is still on a hot lap. He's getting really held up now by that Williams Arapallet Sunsky, who's got P7, so that isn't Sunsky, that must be his teammate Marius. But Thomas to the line then. Where does he put it? P4 for Thomas, and no one can break into the 127 except for the men already there. Jack McKee is into the pit lane, which therefore means IRL Jamie is in the pit lane, but that doesn't matter because he is on pole for the sprint here in Miami. IRL Jamie, impressive pace. He's just slotted right into that Alpine, outperformed his race-winning teammate and stuck it on pole for the sprint. And this man got stuck behind traffic towards the end of his lap. But all the eyes are on Jamie, and all the plaudits are going to Jamie as he finds pole position in Miami. And we're going to take a break. When we're back, we'll go for the results. Well, folks, IRL Jamie on his debut is P1 for Alpine in the short qualifying session and is on pole for the sprint. L2 Sexy, he's starting to make a habit of finishing P2. He starts on the front row for the sprint. GFO Jurgen is P3 for the sprint. He was the final man to break into the 127s. Thomas P4, he couldn't find enough towards the end. Ludo edgingly close to a pole in 5th. Rated and Lewis, look out the, the third row for Aston Martin, an all-English third row. Even the team. Arapallet Sunsky and Jack McKee fill out 8th and 9th. Dugarakis completes the top 10 with Twitch Konyo starting below him. So only now a few moments time then before we get going for the sprint in Miami. But it may be a sprint, but it's definitely going to feel like the main event, the race for these drivers. As we just get this final bit of loading done. The track looking beautiful as ever. We've seen fantastic racing there in real life this season as Max Verstappen took the win. There's even some tennis court down there, which proving This is really, really a multi-sports complex, of course. American football, Formula One, tennis, and most importantly, esports as so tonight. So, starting from pole will be Jamie. His first race this season at least. Maybe his first race ever. I'm not completely sure. This is my first season ever, so can't be for sure about it. But his first race this season, and he's put it on pole for the sprint. Dylan, his teammate, in 7th. We have in between that, driver like Araludo, and only 3 drivers could break into the 127s, and that proves it's so open between those 3 drivers. You think they're the only 3 drivers that have enough pace to compete, considering they were the only 3, of course, to break into the 127s. Now, I'm not sure if there's a formation lap, so we'll soon have a look. We'll have a look at the lights. Let's have a look. Yep, it's a formation lap, so off we go for the formation lap then. As 18 drivers take to the grid. Pera, after his unfortunate crash, starts from last. And that's a Red Bull getting away very slowly there. But Jamie leads us away for the formation lap. He's going to hope to maintain his lead from lap 1 to 10 and take the checkered flag first for the sprint win and official pole. But a few drivers you would think would have to have a word about that. Sexy, making a habit of mention of finishing P2, the Brazilian driver, Jurgen. First race of the season for him as well. P53, he broke into the 127 like the red car ahead of him as well. He will be looking for a race with a sprint win. And the cars further back, and the cars that were unfortunately further back, not by a lot, but were further back in qualifying, Thomas and Araludo and Raiden Lewis, and you can't never ever count out Aaron Palitsonsky. So those are the cars in the midfield. They are going to be fighting for best of the rest, maybe a podium position if someone at the top slips, but you never know. You can't count anything out. They may well be fighting for the race win, but due to qualifying pace, you would have to say that your favourites are these 3 drivers. They are the big 3 that you're looking at for this race, and then probably from 8 up to 4, you're looking at the battle, the best of the rest. But you think Dylan, which, as I said, I think that may, I don't know, I'm being told it's repost skips, but he's not showing that at the moment. He had a horror qualifying session, did Dylan, and we'll have to have a look and see what he can do. Here's your predicted pit stop strategy. This is probably the most useless thing I've ever seen, as of course we're in a sprint, which means all these drivers will be going to the end. Let's get all of the details you need up for you. Let's get tyres. So everyone on the mediums down to Jack McKee, Dylan and Ruelli, who have all been brave and gone for the soft tyres. So here we go then, folks. Jamie lines up on the grid onto a pole position. Is it an official pole position? It may be, it may not, but he's definitely on pole for the race, this race, which is a sprint. Here we go, the final car to line up. Share BM will form the final position on the grid. The green flags are waving, and in a couple of moments' time, it will be a race. It's turn 1. Here we go then. 4 lights on, 5 lights on. And it's pedal to the metal, go, go, go. Jamie holds the lead from the start with a very good reaction time, but Sexy cruises into turn 1 in the lead from Jamie. GFO Servant has fallen back behind and he's had a spin. The Alfa Romeo driver, who was so promising in qualifying, has spun into turn 1, or maybe been clipped by potentially Thomas, I saw with him into turn 1. Dylan's, we can go from bad to worse. He's down into last now, and that's a shot into the wall for Martin Niges. He's into the wall, the Williams driver, on lap 1. A really hectic lap 1, sector 1, and we have a safety car so early on in this race. Really chaotic start. Let's unwrap that. GFO Jurven into turn 1, I believe got clipped by Thomas. Dylan, what on earth happened to him? He's been, so unpromising so far this weekend. And Martin Niges, well, he was into the wall by the flash of an eyelid. VSC, sorry, we have deployed here. Sexy, though, into turn 1 with a really good start. Catapulted into the lead, and Jamie drops to P2. But I'm sure he'll still fancy his chances in this race. BSC, of course, so I'm not too sure when we'll be getting going. But Tomo's here in the Haas. That was really chaotic lap 1. He, in the thick of it, potentially took out a race contender. Have we got going? No, we haven't. I think I'm starting to play with their Delta, trying to get the best safety car as possible. Sunski is past the Aston Martin Lewis to separate them, but we have now gone green, which means Jamie, with a lock into the final corner, will get a worse exit than the Ferrari that's leading. The Brazilian leads away then onto the main straight. No DRS yet, but a fastest lap for the Scuderia Ferrari driver. And into turn 1, this is where he took the lead last lap. This is where he maintains the lead on lap 2. Jamie is in P2 after starting from P1. He looks to get back that P1 and potentially take a sprint win. 8 laps to go then, folks. And who knows what's going to happen here in Miami. Tomo said he's closer to Jamie than Jamie is to Sexy, which will not be a good sign. Well, at the start of the race, Jamie probably would have took that, but now, knowing that he's behind Sexy instead of in front of him, is not such a good thing. Jamie separated from the lead by 0.8 of a second. Jurgen is trying to make up those positions. He's behind the man who caught by that crash in quali, and that's Perra. Dylan is attacking at the moment. Dylan round the outside, down the inside now. Outside turns to inside through these 3 corners. Can he look for the outside again, or is he going to go for a cheeky little switch? Or down the inside, he has gone for the inside. That's a brilliant move. That is SCRL post skids with the late braking. Going back down the inside is Jurgen. Now Dylan finds the other inside line and holds P15. That was a brilliant overtake, and now I can finally believe that this is indeed repo skids. Ruelli, meanwhile, has had a spin down into that corner where we've seen Twitch Conyo bang walls in qualifying, but he's had a spin, which is a similar incident, but not quite the same. Thomas has significantly dropped back from Jamie, who is now pushed onto the back of Sexy. As we start lap 3 then, as Jamie now takes back the fastest lap, which he would have had if he maintained the lead on lap 1. Sexy, 4 tenths separate the 2 drivers. DRS is enabled, which could be a crucial factor between these 2. They have started to pull away, which was expected, unfortunately, for these guys. Nugarakis was on provisional pole for a few times. He's currently in free air. Perra has dropped again. What's happened to Perra? He's had an incident down in turn 1, and he's making his way back onto the track after whatever incident happened to him. Cher may be involved in that, but let's look at the leading pair once more. Past the tennis courts we go. Jamie, 8 tenths separate the 2 drivers. DRS activated. He starts to get within 7 tenths of a second. He's going to have, of course, that long straight. That's really late on the brakes. That's what the access of the DRS can help a man brake late into that corner. Into the uphill chicane we go. Sexy turns left. Jamie turns left. That was really inside from Sexy. As we go into the next inside corner for Jamie, as he now exits this corner and sees his DRS being open in a couple of moments' time. And here it goes then. Jamie with DRS activated. 6 tenths separates him and the leader. 5 tenths, 4 tenths, soon to be 3 tenths. Can he find a late braking move? Not quite. He's not quite close enough. Maybe if that was Skits, who knows with Skits, he would have had maybe bravery to maybe give a really extraordinary late braking move into the final corner. We have yellows in 3. I think Conyo is up maybe, but Jamie and Sexy still fighting out top. The gap is now 2 seconds from the rest of the pack, and we did mention if there was an incident between one of the top 3 that this man or Lewis, who really has dropped down the pack now, and Racing and Sunski could find themselves in a podium. That is exactly what has happened. Jamie then, 5 tenths separate him and the race leader at the moment. They both get really high on that curve. Now, who can get the better exit is the question after that. DRS is not activated through here. It will be activated soon. I think I may be wrong. I am wrong. Oh no, I am not wrong, as DRS gets activated there. He's getting closer and closer, is Jamie. Can he make a late braking move around the outside or the inside? Into the next corner, he's not quite close enough. Yellow's in 1 and 2, and that's a real mess down there. Jurgen's race goes from bad to worse. We knew he had a turn 1 incident, but that's now another, no, not turn 1 incident, but sector 1 incident. Here we go then, Jamie then. Down into the back straight once again. The back straight, which soon turns into the main straight, but he's going to be hoping when he gets to the main straight that he's in the lead. 5 tenths separate them. Now turns down to almost 4 tenths of a second. He's not quite in the slipstream, which could have maybe benefited him more. He's in 3 tenths now. It's the same as last lap. The DRS maybe not doing as much damage as it did last lap. Sexy then maintains the lead. Coming on to lap 5, halfway through the sprint race, Jamie remains P2, 3/10 off his fastest lap. As we go back into turn 1, a lot of drama happening in turn 1 today. We don't often see that, as it's a very clean lead, but it's been a bit shaky at times today. Jamie then, DRS will not be activated for another few kilometers, but when he does get that DRS activated, he will be looking to fully push on that Brazilian driver ahead. This is maybe imminent of a certain rivalry in Formula 1 before, maybe not in Formula 1, but in Formula 4. A Brazilian driver versus a British driver, maybe Martin Brundle versus Ayrton Senna. Take your pick of what kind of rivalry you want to renounce from. But Jamie and Sexy are still having the biggest battle so far in this race. Here we go into the final section of Sector 2 before we hit the back straight once again for Sector 3. It's been an enthralling race so far between these two. It's been a bit more quiet further down the pack. Vax got past Zakopoulos for P9. Now he's got a bit further back. He didn't quite get the chicane he would have wanted in Jamie. But DRS reactivated again. A 5-second time penalty for Lewis for corner cutting. That's not ideal. But Jamie then into the final corner really didn't get anywhere near the Ferrari driver. The Ferrari driver just doing enough through the corner, which is keeping him ahead of his biggest rival for pole and the race at the moment. Jamie then getting a bit quicker on that lap than he was on the last lap, but it didn't seem like it at all really. Into turn 1 we go once again for the 6th time, and for 4 more times we will go through turn 1 as Jamie still not finding that extra tempo we might need to get him with DRS alone. Might need a bit of bravery on the brakes to find his way past this roadblock for him at the moment is the Ferrari. They're both fighting it out for the lead. Someone fighting out P7 at the moment is Sunski. Look at this is really close racing. Not as close as Jamie and Sexy could be, but nevertheless close enough. And Sunski has tagged Zakopoulos, and he is definitely at fault for that one. Zakopoulos, who was overtaken by Vax a few laps or moments ago. Vax, I think, tagged him, but he's down now into P10 after a real horrible incident to be involved in. It was not his fault whatsoever, but now look at how close Jamie is going onto this straight. Couldn't quite find an exit. That's what's letting him down at the moment. These exits of these corners are atrocious. No offense to you, Jamie, but he needs to do better if he wants to get past the Brazilian man who is not making any mistakes at the moment. He's going to maybe have to force him into a mistake. He's got closer, but not quite close enough to make the move. Zakopoulos and Sunski colliding then, and that's probably an Sunski slap bang time penalty, but is it slap bang P7? Can he slap it bang it into the final corner with a bit of late braking manoeuvre and a bit of late braking heroics? Not quite, he's not quite close enough to the back of that Alfa Romeo, but here on the exit of the penultimate corner, into the final corner now, he couldn't quite find enough. Dylan, I believe, has had an incident. Ooh, he's banged the wall. Ooh, that's really not looking nice for the chassis of that Alpine. Jamie, oh, that's the first mistake we've seen. Sexy with a big mistake, and Jamie almost got through there, but he would have probably gone into Sexy if he went full for it. And Sexy, first real mistake we've seen from him this race has happened in Sector 1 on lap 7. Is the pressure starting to get to the Brazilian at the moment? DRS activated. This is the best chance of the whole race for Jamie to retake the lead. He's done it on lap 7. Jamie retakes the lead from Sexy, and for the sprint, which has been dominated by these two, Sexy defeated by Jamie on lap 7, and he's going to look to get it back though on the main straight. So this may not be Jamie's first lap going on to lead, but Sexy with DRS reactivated in a couple of moments time will look to get back past, but he's lost a lot of time in that final corner, and Sexy now is out of DRS range. Can he gain that back though towards it? No, he can't. Really deeply concerning now for Sexy. Out of DRS range, and Jamie starting to pull away then, and the pressure may be getting to Sexy's head. That's 2 mistakes now we saw from him, and it's a 1 minute 32 for Jamie. That's the fastest lap of this race, and pure pace is starting to pull off for Jamie as he extends his lead with the fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, let's look further down the pack. Perra getting past Zakopoulos. Look at this battle. Perra has been into the wall there. There was Pera, but he's got back on the track, and Jurgen's going to be battling him now on top of the 11. And Jurgen, of course, was on podium pace in qualifying, but the race has all fallen to bits with a few incidents. That's brilliant braking from Jurgen, but we've had another collision into turn 1. It's Zakabulas again involved in an incident with XPG Dylan, and those two races have been awful, and they've just gone one step worse, you could say. As GFO Jurgen then is Jutta, and I believe lost out big time on Pera, as he was literally inches away from making that move stick for P9 or P11 at the time, thinking about it. But here's Aaron Panitsunsky. He's been making his way up the order during the duration of this race. Aaron Panitsunsky, P8 at the moment. Twitch Konyo at the moment, P7, as we enter the final few sections of Sector 2. It's quite a long Sector 2, and well, probably the most corners out of any Sector 2 in the calendar of Formula 1. But nevertheless, we're entering Sector 3 now, and this is the last sector for Aaron Panitsunsky to get Twitch Konyo on lap 8. Sexy, 1.5 seconds back on Jamie, as Jamie now starts the penultimate lap of this race. Sunsky and Twitch Konyo still battling it out then for P7 at the moment. Twitch Konyo just doing enough to hold his position coming into the penultimate lap of this sprint race. Tomos still holds that podium position, but Twitch V-rated is starting to pull in on the task. These two, Aaron Panitsunsky's been pulling in on him on the last few laps, but can he pull close enough to dive down the inside or outside to make the move on the Alfa Romeo? P8 for Sunsky at the moment. Remember, that's 1 point in the context of the sprint. Konyo's current position, P7, is 2 points. Does he want the extra point? How much does he want it? He wants it all! He didn't, could have had it. He could have wanted it the most, which would have meant him diving down the inside, but he didn't quite have enough desire to get that position at that juncture of the race. Here we go then, through the next section of corners. This is maybe what he was waiting for, a bit of DRX punch, which could have potentially got him past. Konyo seems to have a very handy car in a straight line at the moment, which is doing enough to keep him ahead. Pera then is 8 seconds behind. That's no point for him. This is the final point position. Aaron Panitsunsky, unless a major incident happens to him, seems on the on course to get a point position. As he gets Konyo got really close there to having a spin around in the Alfa Romeo. DRS will be reactivated here for the Williams of Aaron Panitsunsky. This is the final chance. Sorry, not the final chance. Penultimate chance to get him on this long old straight. Jamie is on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. We'll go and see him towards the end of this race. Sunsky couldn't quite find him, but he looked a little bit closer, just a little bit closer than he was last lap. Racing really starting to close in on Thomas, but it won't be enough. It doesn't seem it will be enough as these two enter the final lap. Those two are coming towards the end of sector 1, so it doesn't seem to be enough for Rated to get past Thomas. We haven't heard a lot of him in this race. Aaron Panitsunsky still trying to find a way through. One man that will not be finding his way through is Sexy. Unless Jamie makes a major mistake, which he should do under seemingly no pressure. This man is under a lot of pressure to get P7. He's gone down the inside of Twitch Konyo. Konyo looking for the switchback. He's not going to find it. And Aaron Panitsunsky makes his move at the perfect time and takes P8. But look at this. Twitch Konyo trying to fight back. He's going to go stick it to the inside line and retakes P7, and Aaron Panitsunsky may have seen the last of that position in this race. Meanwhile, Jamie, that's back. He's had an awful race. He's had another spin, tyres overheated, not ideal. This man is half a straight back from the man who he was fighting for the lead just so recently ago. He's really dropped back throughout this race. Or was it just pure pace from this man to pull away, get the fastest lap? It's not quite a grand slam, but Jamie wins the Miami sprint in fantastic circumstances. Sexy will follow him home for second, but it's another fastest lap on those really old mediums. That's pace in reserve for you, but that is unbelievably done. Aaron Panitsunsky is not going to find enough to get past Twitch Konyo despite having DRS for the final time. But IRL Jamie takes home a P1 in a brilliant way. We saw him throughout qualifying, impressing me with his pace throughout mixing conditions, but Jamie, who lost the lead in lap 1, by the end of the race was back in the lead by 3 seconds with the fastest lap to add to that. 3 times he's had a fastest lap in this race from my memory. Sexy couldn't find enough. What we said, if there was an incident between the top three, and there was, Jurgen pulling back to this man, I believe. Tom was finding a podium. Race really was closing in a couple of more laps, and he probably would have got someone, but Pete Ford's supposed to be after one driver. So that's a wrap, folks. We'll be back in a moment to wrap up the race results. Sprint. Well then, folks, Jamie, who took pole for the sprint, wins the sprint, and it's the same 1-2 that we saw in qualifying. Sexy couldn't quite hold on after taking the lead into turn 1 on lap 1. Thomas brilliantly follows home for the best of the rest, which was P3 in a podium. He's going to be happy with that in the sprint. TTV rated P4 was really closing in, but couldn't quite find enough. Dugarakis P5, didn't really hear enough from him. Araludo really disappointing considering how close he was in qualifying. Sunski P7 did get Konyo due to penalties. Konyo P8, Pera P9, Share P10. Servant really gutting for him. He was so quick in qualifying. P11, Dylan P12, and Rueli P13. And that's all we have time for. So in a couple of moments' time, we'll be back for the race. We go for the formation lap then, lap 0 of 29, and the formation lap, of course. You have to think that this man is the favourite for the race win after, of course, taking a sprint win in such fantastic conditions. 29 laps we'll have around Austria, sorry, not Austria, Miami. I don't know why, I don't know where I'm from, but that's what came out of my mouth. Sexy took P1 lap 1 turn 1. Can he do the same in the race? Didn't quite, weren't looking on board with him from the race start, but we saw how rapid of a getaway he got from the man ahead of him here. And you would think he is, you know, benchmarking the start for this race, but Jamie just can't count anything out for that man. Would it be a Grand Slam? You never know, but with this man, he's going to look to have a say about that. But of course, if I don't believe if this man wasn't in the race, then Jamie would be in a different league compared to the other drivers. He'd be on pole by a significant margin. So here we go then, tyres getting warm as we soon to approach the final quarters. There's your predicted pit stop strategy then. Hard to medium between 16 and 23. Hard to medium between 11 and 23. And then medium to soft in between. Once again, couldn't quite catch how quickly it pops off the screen. So, final car to the lineup is going to be and that's a really quick grid formation compared to the front. Same view as last time we got. This is the man looking at his rival, looking to try and get the jump on him once again from the start. Then 3 lights are on, 4 lights are on. We've got a light glitch once it again, and we'll wait a few seconds before it's pedal to the metal, go, go, go. Jamie maintains, but I believe Sexy got a better start once again, and Sexy takes the lead once again into turn 1. Jamie clearly didn't learn his lesson compared to the first time, as Sexy retakes the lead once again in the race, as he did in the sprint so brilliantly. That's a brilliant start from him, and now on the back of Jamie is a fantastic start from Sunsky. He goes round the outside of the Alpine and takes 2nd position. Sunsky with a brilliant start all the way from P7, gets up to P3. Jamie is all the way down to P4 meanwhile, as Tomo took P3, and that's a real shame for Jamie down there in P4. Here he goes then, back around the outside of Tomos, as he retakes P3 from his rival that he was fighting at the early stages of this race. Alexander, what a start from him. He picks up P2 from the start. He was all the way down in P7, was the Williams driver, but he picks up P7 from this race. Here we go then. Well, that's really off the track for Sunsky, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if that was a penalty. It's not nothing given to him, but that's potentially lucky. His tyres then, and that may be why Jamie has dropped. I think hard tyres at the start of the race. Also, as Thomas did jump Jamie at the start, but Jamie then has pulled away. Meanwhile, though, lap 2 has started, and we have our first retirement. Conyo has retired, and so has Pera. Pera is out of the Grand Prix, and we now have this virtual safety car. It's a virtual safety car deployed. And that brings us down to P3, the opening stages of the race. Sexy led from turn 1, and Jamie got jumped by a brilliant starter. I wish we could see replays, because I would die to see that replay from this man here. I had it Sunsky got such a brilliant getaway, but for BSC we can't really see getaway because of the green. There we are, that is a green though. I had it Sunsky pulled back a bit, he was a bit sleepy. So was Jamie though, and he didn't quite get close enough to Sunsky. Basically that was just a fantastic getaway from LP Sexy. Tomos, 2 seconds separates him and Jamie. He's getting caught by Rated as he was towards the end of the race. Now we've got a timing glitch between the next couple of drivers. Zakaruga 7 tenths from Arudo though, and Max, who had such an awful sprint race, is making his way up in the back of Zakaruga. Look how close he is. No DRS quite yet as he goes to the inside line on the Mercedes. The Red Bull versus Mercedes. We heard that so often, but this time Red Bull prevails as it has this season in 2022, and it's P8 for this man who is making his way, making a recovery drive as such after such a horrible race. Last time out in the sprint, he's now up to P8, and he will be chasing Arudo. Zakaruga seemingly no answer to that. Sunsky is closing in on Sexy, but we can't count out Sexy after his fantastic skill and make that he did. We have yellows in sector 1, and that is that Martin. Yes, it is Martin Nargis. He has had an incident in sector 1, and therefore we have yellows. Lewis has had the pit, so has Jürgen. What on earth is happening to him? It's all falling to pieces after his qualifying. It's Charles Leclerc, but not quite the same. It's in Alfa Romeo this time. But here we are. Your race leader is joined by the Williams. Williams versus Ferrari. This is known, folks. This is not the 1990s, but it's Escom that. Of course, in the 90s, you wouldn't have seen Alpine, but they certainly are, because these 3 are battling out front. We knew this man. We said before the sprint, you could never count him out, and seemingly so, as he's made a brilliant recovery drive, but Sexton really gets a lot of time from that corner. I don't know how he's getting so much from one corner. Jamie decides to close in as well. DRS activated. He was within 1 second. Wasonski wasn't within 1 second. That's on 0 ping. We knew he was making a successful recovery so far. He set the fastest lap of this race for 1 minute 31.2. Jamie, though, in P3 is on the come on, received his first time penalty in this race since Martin Knight, who was retired in the pit lane. Bit of rage there, probably just full speed into the pit lane. Anger due to what's happened to him as he retires from this race. Jamie is P3 at the moment. He's trying to close in on another car, which is the Williams Lewis. Only just moving past Martin Knight, which is a bit sad. Way as Jurgen, oh that's really sad. Jurgen also retiring in the pit lane. He showed so much promise in this race. He is now out of the race after a pit lane retirement. IRL Jamie is P3. That's 4 DNF by the way, folks, in 4 laps. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But so let's just hope we start to cool it down a bit on the retirement. Who's that coming down the pit lane? Lewis is stopped, and Lewis is also out. Oh, that is a safety car. Surely that's a full safety car this time. No, it's another virtual safety car, but Lewis is the next car to fall fatal to the DNF train. And whether Sexton will drive into the pit lane is highly unlikely, and it's not happening. Staying out, Alexander staying out, James staying out, all of these hard runners are surely going to stay out. Back stays out, so that's probably going to be everyone staying out, unless you nothing at all to lose. So that's the issue. So we'll be back in a moment to take let's check that. Welcome back, folks. We've gone green here in Miami. We have yellows immediately in Sector 1, and that's Pirelli, the Alpha Tauri. It was followed by Jack McKee. No, guys, it's not Zachy Poulos, who's had awful luck so far this weekend. It's Jack McKee this time. He's spun and fallen down the order. Zachy Poulos is currently 9th. That's on 0 ping, got the jump over Araludo from the start, and he is followed by his teammate. No, sorry, he's following his teammate at the moment. Araludo, look at how close he is to the back of that Red Bull McLaren at the moment. Really starting to turn the Bunsen burner. Pirelli has had another incident in Sector 1. He's going really slow to clean that time. We've already got 5 to 5 now because of Lewis. Zachy Poulos is a 5-second time, and there's another driver receiving a 5-second time penalty for corner car. That's probably into the chicane. He's got a big advantage now over that McLaren, but that will all disappear after that time penalty comes into play. Vax on 0 ping though gets past his teammate with the DRS into the final view corner. Sorry, the long corner in this one. He gets past his teammate, and his recovery drive extends up to 6. And Alexander can't quite find that DRS range on your race leader. He's doing a good job at the moment, Sexton, to just manage his pace. TTV rated then. We haven't seen a lot of him throughout this whole race weekend. He's currently P5. He's pushing Tomo out of Vax, the friend of his, has had an incident. No, what a shame. Vax, who was making such a good recovery, has dropped down the order, and now Zachy Poulos going round him in share. Won't find enough until he'll start to find momentum again, but that's such a shame. He made his way up the pack so well. Did the driver looking for a recovery in the race, but incident, probably a spin was the most likely outcome. Falls to P9, but not for long, as he's back up to P8 with a move down the inside. We've seen a lot of moves going there, but this is the problem. DRS is activated, and background does the car go. That's quite real. Bump, bump, bump. Do the 2 Red Bulls and Mercedes do? 2 drivers that start their names with B. They're moving up the order from A to Z, and oh, this is a collision, and Zachy Poulos puts Vax on 0 ping in a wall, and I'm sure that was just pure frustration from Zachy Poulos, who was banging wheels consistently with the Red Bull driver. He thought, no, you put me in a wall, so I'll just stick you back there. He definitely did put him in a wall, and that's another one. Oh my goodness gracious me. 6 DNF in 6 laps. Pirelli is the next one to fall victim, and that's maybe a bit of payback for what happened to Vax on 0 ping as he gets back past his rival. But that's not what you want to be seeing. 6 DNF in 6 laps. Please guys, slow it down, or we will have no drivers left. No drivers left, sorry. But Yellow, double wave yellow in sector 1 and 2, and that is for the man who's DNF. Max on 0 Pink has had to go into the pit lane after that collision. So has this man after that collision with each other. Aaron Panitsonsky is now winning DRS race on your race leader. Look, closing in is the Williams on the Ferrari, and it's a shame for Jamie, who's just backed off. And we saw this in the sprint. He backed off and then went straight back on. So he's starting to pull back within range is Jamie now, compared to a few moments ago. But we're going to see this more and more often during this race. Probably a mix of pace between Jamie and Sunsky, you know, maybe an exchange, say, for pace. But Sunsky, 8 tenths separate him and Sexy. Gained a little bit there, but this is what Sexy's so good at. His exits are phenomenal. But that one, yeah, was another good one, let's say. He's gained another half a tenth from his rival at the moment, which is Aaron Panitsonsky. The Alpine IRL Jamie is the moment 2 seconds back. He has promising pace, of course. We've seen it. We've seen the talent he's got. Can he extract it enough in the race to find himself? Look, he's getting a little bit into the final corner now, as he starts to go back up. Sexy extends his lead at the front with a fastest lap and pulls out of DRS race for Aaron Panitsonsky. Raiden has got DRS, and now, oh, Zakapoulis is out. I haven't even noticed that. Oh, I was just about to say, now we have finally broke the trend of DNFs in laps, and don't you tell me Max is about to retire. He stopped on track, and is this a DNF? Is he stuck on a curb? No, he's not stuck on a curb. He's getting going again. Jack McKee is there, and with Zakapoulis as DNF, we have now got 8 DNFs in 8 laps, and hopefully, well, this man didn't continue the trend, so that's all hats off to him. Of course, we do put a race going on. Araludo starting to gain on Rated as Rated on Tomos, but this is the big gain here. It's Araludo on Rated at the moment. Was 6 laps a moment ago, and no, my goodness gracious me. As the leader, and that's a safety car, first full safety car, surprisingly, in this race. That's 9 DNFs in 8 laps. It's soon to be 9 and 9, but hopefully these safety car laps will stop people from DNFing. But Vax on 0 ping adds fuel to the fire as he's out of this race, and with only 8 laps gone, half the grid is out of the race. Real shame to see, but safety cars deployed. We'll be back in a few minutes' time. Taking a quick break. Welcome back, folks, as lap 9 we're now on under safety car, and now let's not get ahead of ourselves. No, sorry, we've almost entered lap 10, and the 10th car has not DNF yet, so let's hold our breaths, let's cross our fingers and cross our toes, because the DNF streak is about to end, thankfully, at last. But Jack McKee, 30 seconds behind, has Just hope the safety car doesn't come in and he loses motivation to race. So let's pray. Let's have a look at the main straight. The cars go. Safety car still out, and whoever finishes is going to be in the points, which is, we can say, probably a shame due to the cleanness we've been seeing so far this season. But well, we're back. We're going to be seeing safety cars. Boats. Safety car restart is imminent, and IRL Jamie will lead from the start after L2 Zephy pulled into the pit lane and what's it called? Handed passed the lead. Passed the lead to sorry. Let's think of a better one. Resigned the lead to Jamie. Also boxing Apple's Sunsport. Therefore means this man, we've seen it before, we're leading the race. We haven't seen it that much actually, but of course he won the sprint. Can he win the race now? Bob, he's been given the lead. Can he hold it? Let's see. On to lap 10 we go. 11 now, sorry. We're almost halfway through. That's gone quickly, considering the safety car and both the safety cars we've had. Thomas into turn 1. Can't do what Sexy did in lap 1 and take the lead. And what's happened to Dylan? Dylan's had a slide and dropped back in the field. I believe Jack McKee has left the session. Oh, that's a bit of an incident. And Panitsunsky made the decision to box and go into that midfield pack. And that's going to lose him a lot of time in the race for second and first. But Aaron Panitsunsky then dropping all the way down to last after an early incident on the safety car restart. Aaron Ludo is P4 at the moment. He's looking to get past TTV Racing for the final podium position. Sherby M is just behind him. That's his teammate. He's on fresh medium, most importantly, which are probably the quickest guys out of track along with XPG Dylan, who's left the session, which is really not a good look for the league at the moment with all these cars leaving, retiring, all this rubbish. It's not ideal, but let's think on the bright side. 11 laps have gone and we have not got even 10 cars retired. So Jamie then leads by 5 tenths of a second. Tomo's the only car out there with a penalty. I believe that's 5 seconds time, but the only car out there with a penalty, which could be crucial if that penalty stuck. I think he would unfortunately drop all the way down to at least Sexy's position at the moment, 7th, or it could get worse. Maybe even drop down to last. But here are the two cars that have left the session. They're phasing in and out of each other, realistic stuff like that. Keeps them super close to each other. Sherby M has got past his teammate. Into turn 1, he's going to go down the inside of TTV Radiant, which now switches to the outside and back to the inside. Sherby M holds the position on TTV Rated and moves up to the podium position. But the man who was a short while ago on the podium position and now has to fight off for 4th. Araludo, the next McLaren, to get past the Aston Martin. And now we have a 3-4 for the Aston Martins. Jamie, what's happened to Jamie? He's lost the lead to Tomos. Tomos then, down the inside, takes the lead, remember, with 5 seconds. It's only a net P1. Jamie, which is the worst case scenario. Now it's P1 on track and a net P1 as he retakes from Tomos. Tomos was, you know, really ambitious with that move. We didn't quite see it, but it would have had to have been ambitious to get past Jamie in those circumstances. Chevy Evans really pulled up to the back of this pack now with the fresh medium tyres. Has he got enough to get past the leading pair and potentially take the lead? He's definitely got the teammate behind him who's just staying within that pack at the moment, separating himself from the likes of Dugarakis, who have got past TTB Raiders in a podium position, less than a lap ago. But Jamie then also made straight lead after a little scare in section 2. So he is now P2 still. Chevy M is P3 as he goes down the inside of the Haas into the final corner. He retakes P2, doesn't retake P2, he takes P2 for the first time in this race. Chevy M is up to P2 after a brilliant late brake manoeuvre on the Haas of Tomos, who was the best of the rest until that point. And after the incidents and pit stops and all the mentioned, he now moves to P3 in this race, which would have been for the race a success, but thinking about where Sexy is after the pits, he would want to be in P2. Jamie isn't out of DRS range at the moment, which could be crucial for this man. The fresh mediums, he's got to use them whilst they last. Dugarakis has had an incident, he's backwards, and he spins back into life, and he drops last, but last is still points, so it's not the end of the world for the Red Bull driver at the moment. Jamie in P1 still. Take a quick break. When we're back, we'll have a look towards the halfway point. Drivers like him are trying to, you know, make up that ground and stopping Nine cars only remain in this race. This is a real shame for all of us watching. It's a shame to see only 9 cars fight it out. So as long as you remain in this race, it's a minimum of 2 points. This is the end of the world. I'd be very happy to get 2 points in such a competitive race. So it's not the end of the world. Just P and D2 have left the session, so virtually 7 cars to fight for in this race. Now Alex Sunstein looked on the up at the start, now looks up and down, and looks for to get back up at the moment. Raiders separated by 3 seconds. This is side-by-side racing. Brilliant view for Aludo to witness at the moment. Cher, his teammate, trying to fight for P3. Down the inside goes Cher. Oh, they touch. And Cher's round to McLaren, who was fighting so hard to make his way up the order on the fresh medium. That's completely ruined his strategy. He was fighting for P2 and Thomas on the second time today. He's colliding with the car and he's maintained a podium position. But up to P2 go Thomas, but Cher, really in a really sad way, is down into P6 now. It's a real shame for him. Meanwhile, oh come on now, this is getting a piss take. Racing has retired from the competition, and at this rate we aren't going to see any cars finish this race. Luckily, it's not we have cars left, but rated the next victim to fall to the DNS road phase. That's what we're witnessing at the moment. Well, we're at least going to end this race with two cars less potentially tired, as that's the potential positive outcome if there is any of this race. Only 8 cars remain, which is a real shame. We could be breaking actual F1 record soon for these cars finishing Grand Prix. That was Monaco 1996, where Olivier Panis took the famous win in the streets of Monaco. We're in the streets of Miami, and we could be seeing a repeat of a 4-car finish. Crashed out, brothers like David L thought it was kind of stopping him, but Michael Schumacher was slamming into the wall. But let's talk about 1996, or talk about 2022, as we see Thomas come to the end of 2022, of course. There's only a couple of weeks to remain. Thomas boxes then. Thomas into the pit lane on lap 17. Let's see how quick this is going to be. He was P2 before the stop time. He's going to drop to 2. He could drop to last. But of course, a lot of other cars yet to be picked, including Jamie. So into the pits we go then. Let's see how slick this is. Onto the medium tyres he's going to go, and that was a little bit slow, but very quick indeed still, as he exits the pit lane last, Will Thomas, and he's soon going to catch up to the AI, as you would think, and it's going to be slightly easier than any other car, as they are ghosted, and you can just break right into it. Our pilot Sunsky really pushing so much. He's got a 3-second time, putting another one times the back of Cher, but Cher's managed to keep it this time. DRS activated in a couple of moments of time for the Williams. I don't think he's going to need it though, as he's got it now though. He will need it in fact, as he's going around the outside of the Williams. The McLaren squeezes him out. Cher squeezes our panic out, but our panic squeezes through, not quite. He's trying to go for the switch back, but McLaren car was there to block him and retaining P4 in Cher. And with 8 cars remaining in this race, you would think that and Cher's made a mistake. Cher into the wall. It's a mistake for the McLaren, and just as we thought, his strategy went pants up. It's gone worse for Cher, and with a big mistake, which has cost him P4 and a chance to fight for a podium. He's dropped all the way to P5, and you'd have to think, with the cars ahead of him on used tyres, and that are going to have to box. The smartest decision really was to box during the safety car period, and this McLaren was ever so likely to take a win in Miami then. Almost 10 laps, we've got 11 laps to go in this race. Not been the most enthralling race, but nevertheless, it's been alright. Jamie leads though, still by 4 seconds. He's going to have to maintain a bigger gap if he's going to hold the race win. We're going to take this race when we're back. Final 10. Here we go then. Final 10 laps in this race. We start lap 19 just about now. As Jamie crosses the line, we have 10 laps to go go in Miami to decide the final position. Cher has got really ambitious to try and make them last the end. Jack McKee, AI position there. As Cher, let's have a look. Cher with DRS activated, surely to get past the Mercedes for the P7. Final point score for this one will be 8 minutes away. That's a shame. Hotwire sets the fastest lap on the medium tyres, new medium tyres, or relatively new medium tyres. 2 laps on those Cher. Maybe struggling a little bit to get past that danger moment of Jack McKee. Only one constructor has 2 cars left in the race, and that is Alpine. Our two constructors. Araludo and Cher for McLaren, and Jamie and Dylan for. No, actually, to be honest, it isn't McLaren because Dylan has left the session, but that's still nevertheless good points for the McLaren team. Jamie in P1 at the moment, cruising his way to victory. It seems Cher has got past Jack McKee in a race that was not the most exciting to watch, but we got a bit of action there as Jamie cruises down the main straight, a back straight there, as he'll come into the next set of corners. Number 7 on that car. Maybe the dominance he's shown today could be 7 or more wins that we see from him this season. Who knows what will happen in only round 2, and to see this amount of DNFs and cars out, it's not the best thing, but of course a long way to go in this championship race. 9 laps then to go in this race, and as we see, a long way home for some of these drivers, or it would seem like a long way home for these drivers, as you know how perplexingly boring this race has got. It could be a long way home for some of the drivers. Look, not a lot of action going out there on track. Someone being attacked by an AI, which is an impressive thing for him to be held up against his name, but nevertheless, let's go on board with Cher, who's just gone fastest out of any man in this entire race on the new soft tyres. He's the only man to put on the soft tyres on this lap that actually made the decision to walk it down for him. So that's maybe questionable how we got the fastest lap without being those softs. So he's 7, maybe he can make it it's going to be a long way off the track by a long way. Oh, did it just flag back on? Wow, Sexy then, 3.2 to Araludo. We were talking about his name, the same breath as Jamie was the race, and all basically in this race when Jamie eventually dropped it, or whatever happened, maybe that he dropped it, but Sexy, the thing is starting to gain on Araludo today, taking him on track, but Jamie will go for the softs and go for it. Maybe one more lap he'll stay out and then go 8 laps and try and capture that soft. Full approach to try and take it. But Sexy would have to make start making a bit of a gain if he wants to secure the win as much as possible without forcing his life up. But the Brazilian making a habit of finishing P2. Surely today is his day, and he finally breaks his P2 woes and finally picks up that race win in Tier 1. But that's yet to be seen. 21 laps out of 29. We're almost there, but not quite. There's still quite a while to go in this race. Jack McKee, of course, AI driven in P8. We'll take a quick break, but when we're back, we'll be seeing final section of this race. welcome back everybody. 22 out of 29 laps completed, and the race really does seem like it's dragging on a bit now. Higher old Jamie leads there after 22 laps. It's definitely not been the most exciting race I've ever commentated on, but nevertheless, that's what happens sometimes. Formula 1 is a done or a loss sometimes, but you've got to go with it sometimes. In any sport, you get boring games sometimes, but that's how it works. That's how life works sometimes, and sometimes you have to just go along with it. As we're on lap 22, Jamie leads by 6 seconds. Arudo, who still holds a 3-second lead over Sexy, but realistically, he's going to have to do better if he's going to win this race. As Arudo Sexy 9 seconds now away from Jamie. Jamie, of course, and Arudo yet to pit. Is he still out? Now we see your race leader diving. Oh, it's raining! It's raining! This could really switch up this race. It's raining. Yes, it is raining. I see rain coming down on the track. And is this the reason? Is this the real reason why we have not seen this man yet to dive into the pit lane? Real rain is coming down onto the track. It's not heavy yet, but will it get heavy enough is the question. This is really spiced up this race now. And I said Sexy would have to start to gain, and he's definitely going to have to start to gain now if that rain gets any heavier and we're all forced to box onto intermediate tyres. This could shake up this race massively. Is this the pit lane? Is this a mandatory stop? But is it going to be to the intermediates yet? It's not raining enough for the intermediates yet, and he's going to go on to slicks, and that's an AI stupid decision. But nevertheless, that's what happens when you let your AI control your race. But Jamie then, lap 23, it was genius, you could say now, to stay out on those hard tyres for as long as he did, because it is now raining. It's still not heavy enough to box for those intermediate tyres. Sexy really falling off now. 10 seconds is separated by him and Jamie. Arudo 7 seconds back. Jamie is starting to come into his own. We have a McLaren around that. Chevy M, is that the end of him? We see no, he's a fighter. He's not giving up. So P7 he continues on in his lonely race. Jamie then locking up is really going to struggle on those tyres. The least grippiest tyres, really old tyres, 22 lap old tyres. He's been on these tyres for the whole race. We're almost at the end of this race on the least grippiest tyres and a slightly greasy track, but he's still pulling away, so that's magnificent from him. But we really think Tomo will start to come into this race a bit now, and of course Chevy M, but after his little incident, that's something unlikely. Meanwhile, Jamie extends the lead by another 3/10 out in front. 5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. When will it be time to box? Will it be a time to box? Because this man's going to have to box at some point, whether it's on slicks, whether it's on the inside. He's got no choice. He's been on those tyres for the whole race. He's going to have to pit. So is this man. But the question for this man is whether it's going to be the inters or the slicks. If it's the slicks, then this man can afford to stay out and take the win, surely. But if it's for inters, then this man is a bit, you know what I want to say. But he is not in a good position. He would have to box, and this 9-second gap would stay as it is because they'd both be boxing, which means one of them would not be gaining a lasting advantage. Jamie leads by 7.5 seconds almost. As Cher, who said this was coming to light, he has gone up to P6, which is third to last, but it's still points and a lot of them as well. I think that's 8 points that he would get. 5 to go, as we mentioned. Jamie needs to figure out what he's going to do. I think the rain has stopped. He's coming into the pit lane. Is it for inters or slicks? Maybe for slicks here. This means Sexy's going to move up to P2. And if it's for slicks, it's too late for Jamie to, catch back up to Sexy, you would imagine. Arudo takes round the main straight again. Let's have a look then. Jamie, it's slicks tyres onto the soft end. That's surely Jamie's chances of winning this race over Sunsky now is the question, because Sunsky get past Jamie. Into turn 1 we go. Sunsky, he's got worse tyres than Jamie. Jamie gets out ahead, which is really crucial for Jamie's race. He's going to have to let those tyres warm up, but with Sunsky's worse tyres, he's got to try and keep them behind. Here goes Sunsky. Around the outside, couldn't find it, and surely that's Jamie ahead. But with those tyres still warming up, Sunsky's got to take his chance whilst he has it. Can he find any sort of line to get past? He couldn't find the inside there, and you would imagine that's it for Jamie and Sunsky's battle, because those tyres are surely going to start warming up. The rain is still still going, but still not heavy enough for any car to be boxing. Avaludo is another one that's going to have to pick. Sexy, who's been third for the majority of this race, could find himself winning this race. You know, we saw him lead from the start. We saw him lead from the start in the sprint. He was second in qualifying. That's the only thing that he's not been leading at some point throughout this race weekend. We're surely going to see him lead again unless he makes a mistake. And Araludo is going to have to pit. 4 laps to go. Jamie is 7 seconds behind on fresh tyres, and Sunsky, I'm not sure if DRS is disabled, but he's not going to have it. Oh, he has got it, which is really crucial because he's fallen out of a second. So can Jamie just find a little bit of straight line speed to keep Sunsky out of DRS range? He has done it, which means that that battle was surely done and dusted. And Jamie, at the very least of his woes, will get a podium position. But this man will have to box, so potentially P2 would be the least of Jamie's woes. But Sexton, hard. He's still in prime position for the win. Jamie still closing in though. You never know what can happen. Araludo, you know what's going to happen to him. He needs to pit at some point. Is he trying to wait for the interference? If he is waiting for the interference, then he may find himself staying in the lead. But it doesn't look like it's going to be well enough to see the whole of the pack come into the pit lane for those intermediate tyres. 4 to go. And the race is really starting to come into its own. It's been a bit boring throughout the middle stages, and if I'm being honest, throughout the closing stages, but now throughout the very end of the closing stages, it's starting to come to light. Araludo leads then. He's, remember, has to pit before the end of this race. Sexy in P2 has already done his pit stop. He does not need to pit again. So this is the important thing, that he of course does not need to pit at all in this race. That is imminent. We're still looking at him. He's got yellow. It's going to be a safety car. Share VM. He's got back going, which means he's not going to retire with quite still. So we'll have to wait and see. But he's kept going, which is a good sign for the McLaren team. I'm coming this far with it being boring. You know, you've got to just take the flag and get those points into the bag. But Dylan, the AI, is trying to tighten him, but it's quite find it. Now this man, how late is he going to leave it? He's got 3 laps to make a pit stop. 27, 28. Is he allowed to pit on the last lap? I don't think so. I think he's going to either have to pit this lap or next lap. It's not going to get wet enough for instance, my friend. So you're going to have to pit for either slicks or both races, but there's no point because the track is simply not wet enough. Sexy is 2.4 seconds. Jamie, 4 seconds to gain. Fresh off tyres, 3 laps. What can you do, Jamie? Prove your worth. You've already proved it fully, but can you go that one step further and shock all of us? Sexy, a whole pit stop ahead. DRS is now the same, but that could be a crucial factor in A, intermediate, and B, if this man catches up to Sexy. But after seeing that he hadn't pitted yet, we all thought it was over. Sexy led, boxed under the safety car, and we all thought he would retake the lead. He surely is to still retake the lead when Araludo boxes, but nevertheless, this man still has a glimmer of hope in this race. Araludo this is his first chance to box out of 2 before he will get a disqualification from this race. He either has to box this lap or the next. I don't believe he can box on the last lap without getting a disqualification. So is it going to be this lap? It's quite likely. There's maybe about a 70% chance that he's going to dive in this lap. No! Araludo staying out for 1 more lap. Now the leaders really start to get closer. Jamie is settled, broken that 3 seconds. He's got 2 laps to push to the max and try and find enough pace to get close enough to his Ferrari rival and potentially take a race win in round 2. Your winner in round 1 in Austria, I actually can't remember that vividly. I think it may have been repost. No, I don't think it was repost, but let's not focus on that at the moment. We're in round 2, and this is where Jamie is trying his best to do what he can. I think it was actually, may have been fact, someone may have done him a penalty, but nevertheless, this is round 2, folks, and we're on the final 1 of 2 laps as Sexy still trying to, well, he's going to surely take the lead, but this man is getting ever closer. 1.4 seconds. He's going to have almost a lap. Araludo, I think, has to box this lap, or it will be a disqualification for the McLaren driver. I think if he boxes, he comes out 5th in between Thomas and Dylan. but Sunsky and Thomas have been quite quiet in the second half of this race. They both have penalties. I'm not sure how big of penalties. They have Araludo, I believe, has boxed out or faces the risk of a disqualification. Not the risk, faces the definition of a disqualification. Jamie is within a second of Sexy. Coming on to the final lap of the race, he doesn't have DRS assistance. That could have been a crucial factor in whether this man got past. Look at this battle on the final lap of the race. Araludo finally comes into the pit lane. So this is the battle. Sexy finally, after so long, after 20 laps, finally retakes the lead. But for how long? He's going to have it for a maximum of a lap, but potentially a minimum of a few corners. Jamie, 3/10, he came out of the pit lane. I didn't think he had a chance, but he certainly had a chance. Off the back of Sexy on the final lap of the race for the race win. We've had a relatively boring race, a slousy race, but it's really come to an enthralling, exciting end of this race. The final lap, about 2 kilometers to the line. Here we go into the middle section of this track, sector 2. Share's gone to into that stupid decision. 10-second time penalty, and after all his woes and troubles, he's kept it on. But here we go then, straight line speed for you on the final lap of the race. Jamie, can he find the lead on the final lap of the race in sector 2? Jamie takes the lead of the race on the final lap. Sexy retakes on the inside line. It's getting really greasy out there. Jamie retakes on the inside, but that'll soon turn to the inside for Sexy. But Jamie has that covered off, and is that now a race win in the sights for Jamie, who, after coming out of the pit lane, no one thought he had a chance. This man waited 20 laps to retake the lead, and after yet only half a lap, he lost it once again. We thought after Jamie pitted, it would have been, a final result for this man to, take the lead and finish in the lead. But this man, after showing his superb pace throughout the entire weekend, and most importantly, out of coming out of the pit lane and finding a bag of pace on the soft tyres, he takes a checkered flag, most importantly, in Miami, and wins the Grand Prix in fantastic conditions after having no chance, after being at 0, and now he is the hero. Jamie wins in Miami. This man, you've got to have your condolences for him, as he was destined to win, but it wasn't meant to be, and his unfortunate streaks of second continue. Second in qualifying, second in the sprint, and second in the race. He just couldn't get one over on Jamie today, but that's all hats off to him, who wins in Miami. And Araludo wants to cry, and I don't blame him, because he led for so long, and unfortunately had to pit. If only he didn't have to pit, he would have finished the race in first. But this is the man who finished the race in third. It's Jamie. And driver of the day, Jack McKee. That's what half the race was still by Zao. My personal driver of the day has to be this man, and who else could realistically beat this man today? He had too much pace for anyone, even Sexy, after having a potential free stop on him, after having boxed under the safety car. So, here we go then, folks. Onto the podium comes your race winner, Jamie, and a thoroughly deserved result. And he does his little dancey dance as he picks up the trophy and a couple of Motortime Champagne. Sunsky on the podium after all the drama that concluded. He eventually did finish on the podium. Sunsky, well done, mate. Normally you're the main story, but today unfortunately you had to take third story, as these two men dominated the affairs in Miami and dominated from qualifying, sprint, and for most importantly the race, as Sexy couldn't quite find enough. Well then, folks, here we go. This is your final order. Jamie fantastically takes P1. We've seen that ghost emo, whatever you call it, throughout every sequence of this race weekend. Sexy, P2's creek, unfortunately for him, continues. Sunsky, P3, that's, less talked about, but that's P3. Tomos, P4, didn't really hear about him much either. Araludo, really sadly for him, takes P5 after, the intermediate tyres just weren't there to be put on. Dylan, P6 as an AI. Jack, P7 as an AI, and was wrongfully awarded driver of the day. Rated the start of the DNF train, stretching all the way through 10 drivers, unfortunately. So then, folks, that's the wrap in Miami. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, which what was a very boring race up until the final few laps. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week for Realistic Tier 2 and Tier 1. Thank you for